Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm obviously sharing my house tour. So I was undecided about whether I wanted to film it, mostly just because I'm not 100% happy with how it is. So I did plan on sharing it, but I wanted to like wait until it was like perfect for to be completely honest. So yeah, and then now that I'm moving, I was like, well, I guess I just won't film it, but because this house is for sale, they switched real estate agencies, and the new real estate agent came in, and when she saw the house, I guess they were flipping out and said, we have to photograph the house again, like now, the way that it's set up. So they did come in and photograph the house the way that I have it set up, and it's really funny because like it's on all of our local like buy and sell sites and stuff. So several people actually messaged me to say, you have to check out this house, it's so vintage, it's so your style. And it's just funny because I was like, yeah, that is actually the house that I'm living in. So it's a little bit funny. But so many people were like complimenting me on it. And anytime somebody comes to our house, they always compliment me too. But it's, I don't know. I guess I'm just like never satisfied. Anyway, I don't hate it. I'm just not 100% happy with it, so I wasn't going to share it. But in the spirit of like trying to break out of that way of thinking and stuff, I thought that I should share it, and because in a few years from now, I probably will like wish that I did just for memories and stuff, so I'm gonna share it. I am just gonna put this little disclaimer in here. That the house is like what I consider more like realistic vintage, meaning that in the 50s and 60s, I guess more 50s and 60s, everything was not like pastel, like all of the furniture was not pastel. I'm saying that because of kind of like the Pinterest version of vintage isn't necessarily like a realistic version of Pinterest. Like most of the furniture was wood and stuff, and I feel like now when people do try to do vintage, it's not necessarily like, I don't know, realistic. I just wanted to put that out there because I feel like a lot of people, that is how they decorate their house, like super Pinteresty, super Pinteresty pastel. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of pastel in my house too, but I didn't paint my wood furniture that is actually vintage. I didn't paint it pastel. I just left it wood because that's actually how it was. So yeah, I guess it has more of like a realistic vibe, like walking into someone's grandma's house that, you know, they would have collected things throughout the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s even. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because so many people do share like vintage tours that do look very like Pinterest. Also, I just moved into the house less than a year ago, so I haven't had that much time to really do things, but now I'm moving, so it looks the way it looks, and that's how it's gonna look. So anyway, I'm just gonna like get into it, and hopefully you enjoy it. I don't know, I felt like I would regret not doing it if I didn't, so I'm just gonna do it. Also, I think it's probably gonna be a very long video, and I think I'm just gonna leave it all together just because it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, enjoy, don't enjoy, don't watch, I don't know, I don't care. So yeah. Okay, so this is the dining room, but originally it was the kitchen, like when the house was first built, so that's why like it still has a sink out here in this room. Maybe I'll just start in what is considered the kitchen. So this, like, you'd come in here, and I guess this room was like what they call cold storage back in the day, because they probably didn't have refrigeration. So this is like the kitchen. So this definitely is like not really my style at all, but whatever. So I would say the vibe in here is probably more like late 60s, 70s, but have like a newer stove, which I actually loathe, but I do have one of these vintage Pyrex coffee percolators, which I use all the time and I love. And then right above here I have like a vintage spice rack, which is with the most used spices in there, and it's like Spice of Life pattern, which I collect. And then over the stove I just have those two like wall things, which aren't vintage, but technically I got them almost 20 years ago, so someday they will be. And then on top of the fridge I just have this vintage cookbook from the 1960s, I believe. There's a bunch behind it just to make it stand up more. And then I have a vintage mixer from Sunbeam. And then next to the fridge there's just this like awkward space, like you can't really do anything or put anything there, but I just put this shelf. So up there, I'm not sure if this is vintage or not. We just thought it was funny because we're like vegans, so it's like, you know, plants. Anyway, I do have a Pyrex double boiler. I do have an extra lid here too from the coffee percolator, because I actually had another one that smashed, unfortunately. And then I have a Pyrex plate and a Pyrex Jello mold, and that's just like a cheesecake pan. But I do store some of my like vintage Pyrex and like Fire King stuff. So I have quite a few of this pattern, which I believe is Fire King, and I'm not sure what it's called. And then I believe this is Town and Country, which I really like that one, but I think that's the only piece I have. I have a bunch of like vintage cookbooks. I pretty much only collect like the Better Homes and Gardens ones, and I have some Betty Crocker ones as well. I also like just hang a bunch of like aprons from the sides there, and then I just have more down here and more down there, and then I have some more like non-vintage cookbook stuff, and then a couple like vintage like glass tray things, like divided trays. And then for the curtains in here, I just went to like the thrift store that I worked at and bought a bunch of curtains, because there's a whole bunch of windows in this house, but I just kind of got this like avocado-y green checkered because I thought that kind of was like late 60s, early 70s vibes. Just have like normal stuff, but then I also have these canisters that I'm pretty sure are from the late 60s or early 70s. At least that's kind of how they feel to me. Someone told me that they were from the 50s, but I don't think they are. That like avocado color green I feel like was a lot more popular in the 70s, maybe late 60s. And then over here I just have like one of these Lazy Susans that's in the same color that is vintage as well. And then I guess this is actually vintage, this vinegar thing. But back here I just have it in the back there, but it's like a vintage napkin dispenser. We had like ones exactly like it when I used to be a waitress in like a 1950s diner. Then like on top of the cupboards is where I just store a bunch of stuff. So I have a pretty significant collection of Spice of Life. And then over here isn't really that organized, but I do have a fondue pot, and then I do have the Pyrex like snowflake. I'm not sure if that's what it's called. And then I also have the Fire King tulips. So I'm still on the hunt to get the rest of them, but so I believe I need 2 more bowls and then another one of those shakers, or maybe I might find 2 shakers with the tops. That one didn't have the top, but the shaker was only $2.50 and that large bowl was $4.99, so I feel like I did good. I did pay like $30 I think for the grease one, but it's in really good condition and it had the lid, so it's just like a random container from my grandma. she made me cinnamon rolls and I didn't give it back to her. And then I just have a couple mushroom things up there. I have way more mushroom stuff, but I just don't have it out. And then I think this is my favorite thing that I have in the kitchen. It's one of those like old dispenser, like, so your paper towel, your wax paper, and tin foil. I'm obsessed with it. This part unfortunately wasn't in great shape. They had covered it with like contact paper. You can kind of almost see through it, but I just put this stuff on it because it was like more neutral. But yeah, I like it quite a bit. So moving back into the dining room, obviously the table is vintage from the late 60s. I got this for $50. I wasn't even looking for a table, but as soon as I saw it, my heart started like pounding really fast. And when I walked over, I could not believe that it was only $50. So I was like, I pretty much have to buy this. And it's in really good shape. Like the chairs, like the chrome is still shiny. And this is the original. Like, a lot of people had to get their chairs recovered over time, but so I don't know if they just didn't use it that much, but pretty cool, I think. And then I just kind of have like more of a pastel feel in here, I guess. But I have like these yellow curtains here, and then I have this here, which is one of my like favorite things. But yeah, so the sink and stuff is still out here, which is kind of weird, but I guess I've just gotten used to it. I found this like pastel blue dish thing at a thrift store and I'm super excited. And then I love these glasses. I showed these in a haul, but they're just perfect. And then over the sink there's this shelf here, so I have the Pyrex cracker and cookie jars, which is pretty cool. The gold is like worn off of this one, but it's okay. And then over here I just have these, which I'm not sure what these are, but I found them all in different places and I'm hoping to find some more. They kind of give me like a Anchor Hawking vibe, but there's no markings on them. And then I just have a vintage juice jug back there too. I also have this little like vintage frog that holds your like sponge, and I just have my like plug in there. And then above like here, I think the landlord just installed that because it's easier to put your dishes away when you're like doing dishes out here than storing them in the kitchen. So just keep all of your dishes in there, but up on top of there was space, so I need this display up here, which is probably my favorite thing in this room. So I found the milkshake machine for $20 and it still works too, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then I just have some Pyrex and another one of those juice jugs and these like vintage glasses, and then one of those like straw holders. I just went and bought a bunch of paper straws to make it look cute. But yeah, I'm trying not to like show too much out the windows, but so over like from the sink have this, which is one of my favorite pieces of furniture that I got. This was only $60, I think, which is pretty cool. I usually decorate it like seasonally for like different holidays, but I've been away from I've been away from my house since pretty much right after Christmas. So I just kind of like threw this stuff in here, like, so that's just like the china that we have. I'm not sure how old it is, but I got the whole set for like $8. And then one of my favorite finds are those two things there. I'm not sure who makes those. And then this like bunny tea set actually isn't vintage, but it just looks really cute, so also thrifted. But it kind of matches with this set that I got fairly recently, which is really cool. And then I have those plates that are I can't think of the name, but they come with little tomato soup bowls. They didn't have the soup bowls, but yeah. On top of that, I just have this cake thing, which is not vintage either, but it just kind of matched. Just random stuff. We just put random stuff in that basket too. But right above it is like where I have this shelf with salt and pepper shakers. This is probably, between that and the other displays, like my favorite things. These are like all of my probably all of my favorite salt and pepper shakers I have. I have way more than this, but kind of change them seasonally. So this is kind of the spring look. I think they're all vintage except for these like balloon animal dogs. I bought those new, but I just thought they were super cute. So yeah, then right next to that I have this vintage like telephone bench, which I am so obsessed with telephone benches. My grandma had one in her house when I was a kid, and so I wanted one really bad, and I found one almost right away after I said that, so it was pretty cool. It was like wood, like dark wood, but I painted it white, and then I recovered the like bench part with some vintage material, so that was kind of cool. And then I got this phone. To me it looks kind of 60s, but the date on the back says 1981, but it's really cool. I'm really like into like gold accents with like cream, so it was kind of perfect. I think it was maybe $15. And then this is like one of the coolest things I have. I got these vintage Sears catalogs. I really want to get a Christmas one, but I haven't found one yet. But I have two from the 80s, and then this one is from the 60s, like a summer one. It's a bit smaller. And then I think these are just like newer catalogs, like IKEA and stuff. And there's just like the stairs to upstairs, but here I just have like a random end table, but I have this like record player that's like a bunch of things in one. Mostly I just use it because you can plug in the auxiliary into like your phone and listen to music from like YouTube or something. I have this app that I listen to all the time called Radio Tunes. It's have like a channel for oldies, so it's kind of perfect. And then I just have this lamp, which the lamp isn't vintage, but it kind of has a vintage look to it. And then the people I got it from, they put like a vintage shade on it, so it kind of, I don't know, I think it has a kind of vintagey look to it. And then we just have our freezer, and right after that is like a half bathroom. I call it like the cat bathroom because there's a bunch of cat stuff in there, but it's kind of like pastel themed. So I have this cat picture like up on the wall, all the lights like shining on it. It's cute. And then over here just have this shelf, this like planter, and then two of these little cats. And then down, I definitely, again, like completely not my style, like that whole vanity, but kind of have to do what you have to do. But I have one of those vintage milk glass vases with some fake flowers in it. Have this cat. I didn't know what this was supposed to be, but I think there was things that hung off each side of it, but I just put it in here because it was a cat. And then have this sort of the same color as the other planter, which is also a planter, but there's nothing in it. And then this isn't vintage either, but the color kind of matched, so I just put that in there. And then I have like a baby blue mat down there. And then I just put these in here. My grandma gave them to me. I didn't really know where else to put them, so I just put them up in here. But I'm not crazy about them. Alright, so then going in from the dining room, you go into the living room, which is probably my favorite room, I think, in the whole house. Yeah, I just love it. It's just so great. It makes me really happy when I'm in here. It feels super cozy, like grandma's house or something. So when you first come in, I have this vintage plant stand that's like gold. I do have two real plants. They didn't get watered for 6 weeks while I was gone, but so they were pretty much bone dry, but I've been watering them, so I'm gonna try to replant them too, I think. So hopefully they don't die. And then because I have cats, I didn't want to put a plant any lower than that one, so it's just a fake plant. Then this is one of my favorite pieces that I've gotten. It's like, it used to be a record player. It was like inside of it, like this part right here is where the speakers were, but there's nothing inside of it, but it was only $5, and I just love the whole vibe of it. So I just have records stored in there because it's kind of the perfect place to store them, like Christmas records, which I have a lot of. But on the top, I just kind of set up this like faux bar look, sort of. So these glasses are definitely one of my favorite things ever. I'm pretty sure I showed those in a haul too. And then I got this holder thing separate, but like I love them so much and I got them so cheap. And then I'm not really sure how old this is, but it's just a cocktail mixer, but I liked that it had lemons on it because this kind of goes with the theme. And then these are like vintage bar tools from the 70s. And then that's just another like cocktail mixer, but it has like how to make a bunch of drinks on the sides, which is kind of cool. Those are vintage liquor bottles. I don't know why I had such a hard time saying that, but there's just like water in it. I just put dye in that one. Like at Halloween I had a bunch of them done, but I just left it like that. And then these lemons look so real, but they're made of glass. And I just have them in this green thing. And then I just have one of those, I can't think of the name of it, some umbrellas on this lemon tray. I don't know, I feel like it's very like 60s to have like a bar in your living room or den or something, but it's really just for show because we don't actually use any of it. And then over here just have this fireplace, which is not vintage, but I did buy secondhand. And tragically, this is a mirror from the 60s that broke. It was like very sad. Also, like all of the stuff that I had on here also fell over and smashed. Luckily it was nothing really expensive, but I love it so much. I'm keeping the frame and I'm just gonna get a new mirror put in it, but the old mirror was literally perfect. It had all these like scratches in it and it just looked so aged and perfect, but it wasn't meant to be. So I just have it there because it looks really weird with nothing. Like I took it down, but it just looks weird because I have it like in the corner kind of, and it's like hiding this big pipe. So I don't have an overly large amount of vintage things out because I just took Christmas down and then I pretty much left right after Christmas. But I do have this vase here, which I love. And then I think I showed this in a haul recently. Yeah, there's just a couple batteries in it. And then those are not vintage, but just nice looking. And then this couch is not vintage, however, it definitely has a vintage vibe to it. It had like the splayed legs. I'm so obsessed with it. I was in a furniture store looking for a washer and dryer, and I was walking around and I saw it and I almost started crying because it's so perfect. But it was only like $400, I think, which the store I was in isn't a really expensive store, so I was quite happy to get that. The sales guy said that it was so cheap because like nobody was buying it, so I was like, well, I'll take it. We just have to keep blankets on it because we have cats and I don't want them to completely destroy it, which they have done a little number on there, but I love the like that old style of blanket, which I got that thrifted as well, and I found these pillows which I'm also obsessed with. So I don't know, I think it looks really good. And then for like coffee and end tables, we have that like older style that's like the two-tiered. These lamps too. These are from the 60s. I'm pretty sure I got them for $40, which is like incredible. They had different shades on them though, that were hideous, to put it lightly. So I wanted to get, I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for, but this was the closest thing. I wanted, like, I think they're called drum style, which this kind of looks that way, but it does slightly curve out, like the bottom's wider than the top. The what kind I'm looking for, they're the same on top and bottom, and they're slightly bigger circumference wise. So I don't know, but those like did the trick for now. So on here, this is like probably one of my most prized possessions I have. but I have, I think, 6 Life magazines from the 1950s. So this one's from December, which is cool because it has a bunch of Christmas ads in it. But then there's also, yeah, it's like when the Queen was like coronated. It's kind of cool. But it's really funny because they're huge compared to magazines today. And also, they were only 20 cents. So funny. And then I have some other like vintage things back there, like this vintage gardening book, which I love. Look how cute. I'm pretty sure this is from the 60s. And I have like a knitting book that I think is from the 70s. But yeah, I don't know. I just have a couple more vintage books in there and like a vintage photo album. And I got some vintage frames that I just haven't put photos in yet. And you'll notice that's a pattern because I'm a perfectionist, so I'm like, I just haven't done it yet, even though I've lived here for like a year. But I have these vintage, I hung them up, I just didn't put photos in them. They're like kind of like plastic lucite. They kind of give me 70s vibes, but I just haven't put any photos in them because I'm not sure, and I don't know. But I also got this piece of art. It's like very naturey, which I like. So for the other side of the room, I have my record player with this vintage record stand that I just spray painted gold. I got it for like $5. I was just sitting out back at my work. I was like, I'll buy that. And I just have like a bunch of records there, and then a bunch more in that. And then this is like, I was gonna say my favorite purchase, but it was actually free. This TV here, this amazing TV that like literally I think there's like one mark on it. It's from the 70s. It still works, and they were giving it away for free. And like the next day, the woman said that they were gonna just put it out by the side of the road, like for garbage. So makes me really happy. So I still watch stuff on it like all the time, which is amazing. Like watching, just imagine watching TV on that, like sitting on this couch. It's magical. So yeah, TV. Up here I just have VHS. One of my favorite things to do is watch old movies on this TV in this room, but I just have like a bunch of old movies from like the 50s and 60s that I keep in that one. And then I showed these in a haul, these little reindeer, which is cute. And then these are just like too big to fit in these kinds of holders, so I just have them out there for now because I wanted to watch them. And over here I just have this little, I think these are from like the 70s. And then here I just have this VCR DVD combo. I don't really have any DVDs, but obviously I use the VCR part. I've had this for a really long time. And then because like there's no time or anything on the TV, this alarm clock, the time still works, but it doesn't beep. So like it came in at our work, so my boss gave it to me because he knows I like old stuff. So we couldn't sell it because it technically doesn't work, but it works for all I need it for. And then I just got this poodle because I feel like poodles are very 50s, 60s. And then like these things are here to be able to watch TV on the TV, like other than just VHS, which maybe I'll make a video on like how I do that. It took me a long time to figure it out. But now that I figured it out, although I'm not sure I'm the greatest at explaining like in technical terms, but yeah. And then next to that I just have this shelf which actually matches the plant stand, even though they came from 2 different places, but it's pretty cool. So up here I have this big vase which almost perfectly matches the little one that I showed, and I just have some big flowers in there. And then down here, I just have a picture of me and Dylan from a couple years ago. And then I just have these two. I love them so much. And then another picture frame with no photo. And then just another fake plant down there so my cats don't eat it. So there's kind of like an overview. Oh, I forgot about that. Right above the TV, I have that picture, which I am so obsessed with. It's like amazing. I love the frame and stuff. I got that from my work too, so. And then from the living room, because it's actually like quite a small living room, but like back when the house was built, people didn't really have like electronics and things, like there wasn't TV or anything, so you didn't really like need a lot of space for things. For me, it's the perfect amount of space, but I guess like at some point they opened up this wall, and this room back here used to be a bedroom that you entered from a different room, but they kind of made it in like a den. So that's kind of like how I use it. I just hung these like sheer, these aren't vintage, but they just that like avocado-y, and the pattern sort of gives it like a vintage feel to me anyway, but this just has like more modern stuff in it. So just like our old couch. I got another one of those like old style blankets in here. This is another cool vintage find. It's like this set of TV trays. This is really cool. They were only like $5, I think. I saw them online for like $80 at one point. I'm like the master at finding like good deals. Yeah, so blanket, and then this is one of my favorite things too, this like piece of art, which I think it had 25 on it, and the girl saw me looking at it and she's like, you can take that for 10. I was like, sold. I'm obsessed with the frame. I kind of want to put it in my bedroom, maybe. I don't know. I just love it. It's, and then I got another vintage lamp down here. And then I'm not sure this end table when it's from, but there I have a bunch of vintage board games down there, which is really cool. It's a really old version of Monopoly. And I also have, it's like really old as well, but it's the UK version of Monopoly. So all the like names and stuff are different. It's pretty cool. Then I have one of those vintage like magazine racks. It's like really full right now because my boss just keeps giving me National Geographics. But I have a bunch of National Geographics from the 80s. I think I have every one for like 5 years of the 80s. And then I have a whole bunch more that I haven't even looked through yet because he just gave me like a big bag full. So then across from that I have this like old TV stand. I think that's from the 80s. In that one right there is like set up to hold records on the inside. I just have the whole bottom thing full of VHS though. I just have the older style TV. It's actually like a TV and a VCR like built into it. So you can watch like VHS on that TV. It's just there's no other like kind of TV that would fit in there, and I loved the TV stand so much that I just wanted it. I have a bunch of like, I have a big Disney collection, so I have a whole bunch of those, and then I have a few more of those like holders. But really, when I was a kid, my parents had one like this with like the glass door that, you know, opens. And what my dad like had in there was like one of those old style stereos with like a bunch of different, I'm not very good at explaining things. Maybe I'll just like put in a picture or something, but I really, really want one of those stereos really bad. So, I thought this would be perfect to house that someday, but for right now I just have movies in there, and then I do have some DVDs of like TV shows, and then I have a vintage Polaroid camera. It's like my favorite camera. But then we just have like a normal flat screen TV. That's what we watch like cable on. That's what that little box is there. And then over here is like the bar. Actually don't really drink very often at all, but again, it's just one of those like aesthetic things. So I believe that this used to be a TV stand as well. Because this sort of is the size of like, not that style TV, but like the style before that, like before they were made of plastic. Maybe I'll just put in a picture of what I mean. Those kinds of TVs would have fit in there, and that's what I think this was. But this was at my work for like $25, and when I saw it I thought, I could DIY that. So I was like, is this really only $25? My boss is like, yeah. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take it. So down here, this is just glass, but I didn't want to be able to see in there because I don't really like clutter, so I just put some contact paper over it. I didn't think it would look as good as it does, but now I feel like it looks like it came that way. So that turned out really well. And then I just got some shelves like made for the inside. There's just like a bunch of extra, like, check out these cocktail glasses. These are like amazing. I'm so obsessed. Yeah, I just got those shelves made and just covered them in contact paper because it's just like rough wood under there, but just have like extra, like, look. That's what I was looking for to see. This is like the only kind of drink that I have is like a White Russian made with like dairy-free like eggnog, or like egg-free eggnog. Yeah, and then up here, like, I just started collecting, I'm pretty sure these are kind of like 70s or 80s, these like old style beer glasses and beer mugs. So that's mostly what all that is. And then I just have like a set of these in all different sizes. Okay, so now going upstairs. When you get to the top of the stairs, bedroom is right here. So it's not really a very big bedroom, and I don't really keep a lot of stuff in here because like I said, I don't really like clutter, so just kind of basic. So the dresser, which I love, I got this online too. I think it was like $200, and then I kept looking at it, and then it went down to $160, and then it went to $140, and I was like, I'm getting it. But it's very, very heavy. To me, it looks like it's just made of like the press board stuff, but oh my god, it is like a nightmare to move because it's so long and heavy. But really not looking forward to that in a couple months. But there's no words to describe how much I love this and how like perfect it is. So I was very happy that I was able to get it. So on top of it, I have some vintage things. So John has this vintage like men's jewelry box, and he has some vintage, they're like cologne bottles from I think the 70s from Avon. And then I have this little piggy bank that's like an old-fashioned telephone. I also have this like vintage like embroidered doily. And then this is my jewelry box, which I wonder, oh, it will, yeah, if you open that drawer. It plays music, which is kind of cool, which I didn't actually know for a little while until it started and scared the crap out of me one day. And then I just have this, I've just been putting some like odd things in there, but I just thought it was really pretty. And then on my kind of side, I have this vintage like mirror that I'm obsessed with. I just keep some hair elastics in the back of it. I think you can like hang it on the wall, which is kind of cool. And then I have this vintage Chantilly like powder container, which it was empty, like there's no stuff in it, but it just has unused things in it, which is kind of cool. But it smells like Chantilly still because it still has the cardboard pieces still in there. Love it. And then I got this clock as well that I'm also obsessed with. I think I got that either for free or for like $5. I don't remember. There's anytime something like doesn't work or something, we can't really sell it, or I should say my boss feels like we can't sell it. There's things I feel like we could sell, but I feel like they just don't understand vintage and like how people would pay for something even if it's a little damaged. But anyway, I got another one of those vases back there. I have like a bunch of them and some fake flowers, which I'm a big fan of as well. And then this is the bed. The bed isn't vintage, but it sort of has like a vintage look to it. It's actually just from IKEA. Since the house is so old, my queen box spring would not fit up the stairs. The mattress barely fit. But I don't think I could go back to a smaller bed than a queen, like, because now I'm used to it. I don't know. I struggle with it because I always see really pretty vintage sheets, but they're always in double because people didn't really have queen beds back then, but I don't know. Anyway, I got this. It's from IKEA, but I just got it online for like $40, I think. It comes apart really easily, but I think I might DIY it, and I really want to paint the black, white, and then the silver. I want to spray paint gold. I think it will look better. It'll like match better with the dresser. But yeah, so this is like this quilt that I got, which isn't vintage, but it has like a vintagey vibe to it. I quite love it, actually. Even though it's like super girly, but whatever. And then I just have like some basic end tables, night tables, had forever. Although I kind of want to, like, they're kind of damaged now, so I was thinking about possibly painting those and changing the silver like knobs to gold, and then it would match better. And then that's just the heater that I keep next to the bed because this house is freezing. And then I just have that vintage print up there that I just stuck in here because it didn't really go anywhere else. Then there's like a big closet in there, but it's like a disaster right now, so I won't bother showing you that. So then when you come out of here, right directly across is my like office, which I already showed, and nothing's changed in there. But this is like the view here, which I quite love, like a lot. Yeah, and the sun comes up on the side of the house, so it's like really nice in the morning. But this, the painting downstairs that I showed, this is by the same artist, so really cool. They both came from my work, so the one downstairs I got first for $60, which I think was a really good deal. Like, it's in really good shape. This one isn't in as good a shape because obviously because of age. I don't know if you can tell, but it's quite like cracked. So months and months later, this one came into the store, and immediately I was like, oh, that matches mine. So we looked at the name on it, and it was the same, but obviously it's a lot more damaged. So I think my boss gave this one to me for $30 or $40, but either way, I'm obsessed. And it's cool that now I have two that are the same, but I don't know. So down here, this is like just one of my favorite things, even though it's like nothing crazy. I just like the way that it looks with the flowers and the thing. So this is just actually an old TV stand. I just put it here because it fit perfectly, but there's like a fireplace insert that I've just been using in another room, but I'm gonna sell this because I don't need it. It's just what I used to use before got the old TV, so I just thought it would make like a nice table just to put stuff on here. So that's actually just a curtain, like a one of those like half style curtains, but from like far it just looks like a doily. Is that what they're called? I think. Anyway, so I have some blue, this is where I keep all the Blue Mountain pottery I have, except for that one piece downstairs. So it kind of just started because my grandma gave me this one from her house, which like makes it really special just because it is something that I remember like from when I was a kid, it being in her house. And to make it even cooler, like it's actually just filled with pennies, and she said, well, you're taking the pennies too. So now I just have a vase full of pennies, but it's holding the flowers in place. But in Canada, like, we don't even have the penny anymore, so yeah. Anyway, so my grandma gave me that one. So then I saw this one day in a thrift store, and I thought, I should buy that one too, and that way I can have like two kind of opposite. These flowers are kind of like a wreck right now because I haven't bothered fixing them up after Christmas because I had Christmas ones out, but I'm not going to bother now, so just, it is what it is. And then I saw this dog, and I thought, he would go perfect right in the middle, so got him, and then I got these two little poodles like a while ago. And then down there I just have one of the swans that has like a, you put stuff in it. My parents actually had the swan, either one or two, when I was a kid, so it kind of reminded me of that. And then this is kind of a cool like bank. You just put nickels, dimes, and quarters in it, and it's gold, so I thought it was pretty cool. And then directly in here is the like full bath. So this one's sort of more like yellow and green, but I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do when I move because I'm only gonna have one bathroom, so I'm trying to decide what to do. Again, I think this vanity is like completely hideous, but again, I don't own it, so whatever. I don't know why it's like painted brown, but yeah. Anyway, here I just have this vintage soap holder, but I just keep like usually take off any jewelry or anything or bobby pins. And then I have another one of those vases with some fake flowers. And right above I just have this like little picture that I love so much, this little bear and a bird. I like that it's like has gold. It's just a tiny bit damaged right there, but I like it. It's quite cute. So when I came to look at the house, it actually did have a bathtub and like a shower that was like right there, and then over here was like this shelving, and actually like all of like this here was like vintage tile, and the floor was vintage, and I was so excited about it. But then the landlord completely like redid it and obviously took out the bathtub, which I used to take a bath every single night. So I was so upset because I never would have like moved somewhere that just didn't have a bathtub because I just like taking baths too much. Even if I didn't take one every day, like I would still want to take one. So I was really upset. I was like crying. I was like, I don't want to move here anymore, but I sucked it up. But I am glad to be moving somewhere with a bathtub. So it's kind of like a really big bathroom because obviously it had like a big tub in it, but I have this vintage like laundry hamper that I just put this mirror on top of that was from my grandma's house to sort of make it like a table kind of. I don't know. Sometimes I think it looks cute and then other times I'm like, that looks like shit, so I don't really know. I kind of touched up the paint on it because it was like a little bit rusty, so I don't know. But I have another like Chantilly. This one is full though. I would never use it even though I like the smell of it, just because I mean this is probably who knows how old, and they weren't as cautious about things they used in cosmetics in the past. Can I ever smell it just from opening it? And then I showed this in a haul too, I think, with this little, I don't know, like, I technically don't really know what they were used for, but I think it's pretty. And then I got this vase with some fake flowers in it. And then up there, I just have this print that I thought looked cool. And then on the other side of the bathroom, over the toilet, there's another one. They don't match perfectly, but they're like very, very similar. I got them in 2 different places, but they just reminded me of each other. And then since we don't have like an actual shower that needs a shower curtain, this is a vintage shower curtain, I believe. But I just used it as a curtain because I wanted to use it. And then I have this vintage like tea cart, I believe, or I guess it could be a bar cart. I'm not sure. I did have it set up as a bar cart like before I got that other thing, but I just put it in here and used it for towels and stuff. I don't know. I think it kind of looks, again, sometimes I think it looks cute and other times I'm like, I hate it, so I don't know. Anyway, the last thing I have is just this vintage garbage can, which I quite love. Actually, I don't think I showed it, but in the other bathroom I have the same garbage can, but it's like baby blue, so it matches that bathroom. But yeah, that's kind of just like an overview, I guess. I don't know. And then I have a gray mat there, and then like a yellow mat there. And then there's like a really big closet in here. It's like the length of the... And there's a really big closet in there. It's like the whole length of the bathroom. And I call it the vintage closet because it's literally full of vintage things. But I don't know if I'll show that or not. I'm definitely not going to show it right now because it's stocked full. Maybe I will show it when I'm like packing and stuff because there's so much vintage stuff in there. It's like insane. But it's really, really full right now, so yeah. So then when you come out of the bathroom, there's another room in here, which is like the secret room. It's not really a secret room, kind of, but not really. I'm not going to show it because it's like nothing to do with vintage, but it's actually one of my favorite rooms in the house though. But I don't know, I guess maybe I could show it sometime, but not in this video. But yeah, so that's it. It's a cool view from upstairs too.
You think you've flown before, but babe, you ain't left the ground. Just wait till you're locked in my embrace. Wait till I draw you near, and wait till you see that sunshine place. Ain't nothing like it here, babe. You think you've flown before, but babe, you ain't left the ground. Just wait till you're locked in my embrace.